Adam Wardzinski is the man. Whilst other jiu-jitsu practitioners may steal the spotlight, Adam has quietly gone about his business, sweeping anyone and everyone who dared step into his guard. Adam was always an elite jiu-jitsu competitor, however he truly cemented himself in the upper echelons of the sport in 2024 by becoming the first ever European male to become an IBJJF black belt world champion. In fact, while I was recording and writing the script for this video, Adam only went and secured his spot in jiu-jitsu history by achieving the IBJJF Grand Slam and retiring after winning back-to-back world championships. What sets the Polish star apart from his fellow competitors is his use of the butterfly guard. Adam truly stands out in this regard, as there are very few jiu-jitsu athletes at the highest level who would even consider using such a guard in the gi as their plan A. It's not too much of a stretch to suggest that Adam might have the best butterfly guard in the world. As the years have passed, Adam has managed to develop his own systems and understandings of the position, so much so that his rivals have been unable to replicate his style. The goal of the Adam Wardzinski project is a selfish one. I feel like I'm at the point in my jiu-jitsu studies where I'm okay at most things, but there's not one skill that I can truly point to and say I excel in. Butterfly guard is my go-to for no gi. However, as soon as the gi comes on, I really struggle. I feel that once an opponent gets a grip, suddenly my guard retention doesn't exist. This is not a problem that Adam Wardzinski seems to have, sweeping his way to multiple competition victories at the highest level. Whilst I'd love to have a beautiful flowing gi guard game like Nicholas Meregali, this is very much an unrealistic goal, at least for the short term. Instead of trying to overwhelm myself by trying to master many guards like collar and sleeve, lasso and de la riva all at once, I'd be much better served focusing and adapting my no-gi game for the gi before carefully adding in new skills. The goal of the Adam Wardzinski project is to see what tips, tricks and strategies that Adam employs in order to get his butterfly to work against the elite of the elite. If it can succeed against the top competitors of the world, I'm sure it will do just fine against my friends in the gym. Thankfully, there are a few resources we can utilise to understand Adam's game without having to do much heavy lifting. Adam lays out most of his ideas in his instructional series, The Butterfly Guard Rediscovered. In addition, we have dozens of matches available to cross-reference, and of course, Adam's own YouTube page. Before conducting any serious study, it would be helpful to set some guidelines as to what we want to achieve. Otherwise, it will be very easy to accidentally get off track. For the most part, we want to focus on how Adam addresses the three main scenarios he will face in open guard. Number 1. Opponent is in a kneeling posture, i.e. both knees are on the mat. Number 2. Opponent has one knee up and one knee down. Number 3. The opponent is standing. Once we've assessed what the game plan is from these three scenarios, we can start troubleshooting what problems Adam will run into, and we can explore what solutions he likes to employ. With our study parameters set, it's time to jump right in. Whilst the three scenarios we've highlighted are going to be the main focus of our study, it would be pretty useful if there were any ideas that were common to all three. That way, instead of learning three separate sets of ideas, we can start with one underlying theme and see how it translates across all these scenarios. As it happens, there are a couple of things that Adam does which are pretty consistent. The first observation is Adam's focus on his opponent's far side sleeve, i.e. his right hand grabbing the sleeve of his opponent's left hand. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Adam has a particular focus on this grip for a variety of tactical reasons. To highlight its importance, there are some roles where Adam grips the sleeve for the entire round. By gripping the sleeve, it prevents the opponent from grabbing Adam's head or lapel. In this respect, it becomes incredibly difficult to pass the guard if you have one of your hands tied up. It becomes even more difficult when you have Adam punching the sleeve towards your belt and hips. By punching the sleeve backwards, you not only aid in butterfly guard defense, but butterfly offense too. If the opponent can't grip you to attack you, then they can't use their grip to defend. In standing situations, Adam can use the sleeve grip to keep his opponent in a square stance. He does this by punching the grip towards the belt any time they try to step forward with their lead leg. In ideal circumstances, Adam can even use this to set up his sweeps to push the opponent backwards. Adam refers to this as the tripod sweep. However, it has been often called the dummy sweep or double kurichigari if you're fluent in Danaher. In one knee down or both knees down scenarios, the sleeve grip aids in Adam's hook sweep. To prevent the sweep, opponents will typically post their hand to the mat. With the sleeve under Adam's control, the ability to post has been taken away from our opponent. There's also wonderful utility in having a single target for gripping strategies. In the stormy seas of open guard, it helps to have a port of calm within the chaos. After playing around with the sleeve control myself, I find a great weight has been lifted, and it really acts as the starting point to get my game going. It's not just me that feels this way. Olympic judoka Travis Stevens has discussed when grip fighting from standing, you want the sleeve grip first to prevent the opponent from being able to turn into you and throw. Whilst Adam isn't in any danger of getting thrown while he's already on the ground, the concept of a strong first move still applies. In addition to the sleeve grip, we also see Adam favour cross-collar control, often using his hand going across and towards his opponent's left shoulder. While Adam's right hand maintains a rigid focus on the sleeve grip, his left hand has some degree of flexibility. If not being utilised as a cross collar, Adam will upgrade this to a belt grip when he's ready to set up his sweep, or if the opponent stands up, he'll hug the opponent's near leg when entering shin to shin. Interestingly enough, while Adam opts for traditional collar and sleeve grips on the upper body, he remains incredibly disciplined with the lower body in not advancing to a full collar and sleeve. Rather than posting his feet on the opponent's hip and bicep, Adam will often keep his left foot planted to the floor and his right foot light and ready to move in the inside position. The planted left foot gives good options for mobility, often meaning that he retains the ability to shrimp away from his opponent if needed. The right foot can be in a variety of positions, often grapevining the opponent's lead leg. With the right foot close to the floor and light, he's ready to fire his hook sweep at the earliest opportunity. After playing around with Adam's grip configurations for myself, I found it much easier to retain guard and enjoy a greater sense of defensive responsibility. It felt a bit weird at first, normally because whenever I used to play collar and sleeve, I would be using my right hand in the collar and my left hand on the sleeve, which is the complete opposite side to Adam. The main impression that I have come away with is that by sacrificing some grip power and offense, Adam's approach has increased defensive soundness and a much greater focus on hitting his sweep. Rather than react to an opponent's counters with beautiful movement, alternating grip switches, leg pommels and lassos, Adam instead focuses on keeping the battle firmly within his domain. Now that we've had a look at some of Adam's preferred grips across our 3 scenarios, let's get into the nitty gritty, starting with an opponent on 2 knees. The default reaction to an opponent on 2 knees is variations of sumigaeshi, commonly referred to as the hook sweep. This strategy isn't exclusive to Adam, it's also championed by Marcelo Garcia and John Danaher's New Wave team. After watching and studying Adam's instructional series, the butterfly guard rediscovered. Adam breaks down and covers his setups and entries into hitting his favourite sweep. Before watching Adam's series, I thought I had a relatively good understanding of butterfly guard. Within about 20 minutes, it's safe to say that particular thought could be quietly dismissed. As it turns out, I've only been playing the position poorly for most of my jiu-jitsu career. The good news is that through Adam's teachings, I was able to correct my mistakes very quickly. Previously, I had been making the error of playing a very square butterfly for long periods, with my centre line and head in line with my opponent. I had also made the mistake of trying to use my legs to connect too much, where being more disciplined with my feet, while gripping and framing with my arms more, would have been more beneficial. Clearly watching too much of Gordon and John made me too overconfident in my skills. This overconfidence led to conceding quick passes, unnecessary scrambles, and a poor grip fighting strategy from my perspective. Instead of trying to be clever, I decided to ignore my previous ideas of butterfly guard and follow Adam's approach to the position. Rather than trying to play the position as I had been, Adam instead has 3 types of butterfly guard that he likes to use. Just like his grips, each one of these guards has a specific job and goal in mind. Each of these guards has the benefit of being on a single hip, rather being sat down on 2. The positions we'll be studying are the side butterfly, the lazy butterfly, and butterfly half guard. Let's take a look at each of these in turn. The side butterfly is very much a seated butterfly guard, but with one leg open and the other touching the floor. The key hidden detail that I was missing was that when in the seated position, you want your hips to be outside your opponent's knee. Initially this struck me as odd, however after revisiting some match footage, I now see this detail all the time. Thankfully, Adam hammers this point home in his teachings, constantly reminding us to fix our hips. The side butterfly often sees Adam upgrade his cross-collar grip for a belt grip. Usually when Adam is in the side butterfly position, he isn't here for very long. Whenever Adam gets a far side belt grip, a Sumigaeshi won't be far behind. Fear it, run from it, Adam Wardzinski's hook sweep arrives all the same. In fact, according to a 2022 BJJHeroes.com article, one of the big stats to consider is that out of every hook sweep accounted for over the 4 IBJJF World Championships between 2018 and 2022, 38% of sweeps came from the hands and feet of Adam Wardzinski. This is a pretty big number if we consider 2 things. The first is that Adam was knocked out of the tournament in the first round in 2018 and was unable to use this position, and second, how versatile and universally used this position is in the sport. Adam has such a high percentage of success with his butterfly sweeps because he has built his entire game around it. When an opponent tries to counter or avoid being swept, this is where Adam doubles down and uses some clever setups to adjust and get the sweep anyway. He's not looking to swap to another guard, he's looking to readjust and try to sweep you again. After doing some study, I've categorised how Adam makes his adjustments into 2 categories. The first is when he is able to get to his preferred grips, but in the midst of attempting the sweep, the opponent reacts and tries to counter. The second is when he is unable to get to his preferred grips, and he's unable to start his sweeping sequences. This is where Adam would shift to his Plan B sweep strategy. The default sweep that Adam would like to employ is what he refers to in his teachings as the classic sweep. This is where he is able to dive for the opponent's arm and make a very strong and tight upper body connection. Whilst this may be the ideal, it's often the least achieved in practice. Opponents will be very familiar with the sweep and will fight very hard to avoid being caught by it. The 3 most common reactions to Adam's sweeps are posting on the inside of his knee, posting on a foot and maintaining good base, freeing the sleeve control and posting a hand to the floor. In instances where the opponent grabs the inside of his knee, this is really no defence at all. If anything, the opponent has made it easier for Adam by removing their posting hand. When this happens, Adam will maintain the sleeve grip, kick his inside leg down and proceed to sweep as normal. If the opponent posts a foot and maintains good base, this is Adam's cue to drag himself across the floor with his driving leg and pull himself further under his opponent's hips. This gives him a chance to simply repeat the sweep. If the opponent manages to free the sleeve and post out their hand, Adam will turn their post into a pivot. By readjusting his hips and his angle, he will now sweep over the posted hand. If Adam is unable to get to his preferred grip of far belt and sleeve, he has a bunch of tricks he can utilise. If the opponent denies entries on one side and commits their weight, Adam will simply swap sides. One of the perks of butterfly guard over other guards is the quick ability to swap sides. If we can't sweep to the right, then there may be sweeping opportunities to the left. If the opponent is tight with their elbows and denies access to an underhook belt grip, Adam will reach over the opponent's shoulder to grab the belt. If the over the shoulder belt grip is unavailable, Adam will settle for variations of overhook controls. It's not ideal, but Adam is such a master of this sweep that he only needs the opponent to be moving off balance slightly in order to hit it. Of course, if the opponent panics and completely overreacts to Adam's grips and sweep attempts, they'll often extend their limbs in the process. Whenever this happens, Adam's preferred follow-up is moving straight into triangles, as was the case when he took on Gregor Gracie at the 2025 Brazilian Championships. If the side butterfly is Adam's preferred sweeping position, then the lazy butterfly is his default spot to hang out. Rather than shooting for a belt grip right away, Adam will maintain the cross collar and sleeve at full distance. Instead of being seated, Adam is more supine, with both of his feet remaining on the inside rather than something like half butterfly. The main focus of lazy butterfly is slowing the opponent down and being ready to react to our opponent's pass attempts, of which Adam has a few tricks, but we'll talk about those later. The default chain of attack, once grips have been set, is to upgrade from cross collar and sleeve, lazy butterfly, to side butterfly. This will typically see Adam pommel his cross collar control into some form of deep underhook, before reaching over to grab his opponent's belt. The belt grip signifies that playtime is over and it's time to go. The grip affords Adam tremendous control of the opponent's upper body and allows him to bring his opponent's weight forwards. However, it's not the only gripping strategy available in the lazy butterfly position. The main utility of the position is that it affords Adam various options. By keeping one foot posted on the floor, Adam can trim backwards to create space at any time. This is useful when transferring to other guards or simply pulling the opponent on top of him. If the opponent tries to resist being pulled forwards at any time, this gives Adam the opportunity to sit up and take the belt grip he wanted anyway. If Adam maintains a supine position, it means there is less weight on his hips, meaning his legs are free to attack. We've already touched on how Adam can enter triangles off failed sweep attempts. He can also threaten them from the lazy butterfly position. Typically, Adam is a bit more conservative with his legs. Rather than immediately throwing up submissions, he can use them to float between knee shields, reverse de la Riva, and butterfly half guard. He treats the position as dynamic rather than static. In addition, Adam is still able to hit his hook sweep from lazy butterfly without having to move to side butterfly. In fact, one of the things that impressed me the most about Adam's teaching was the ability to sweep people with the same move, regardless of position. Adam would be casually explaining a concept, and within a second, his uke was flying through the air. The lazy butterfly sweep works by once again dominating the opponent at the sleeve. By removing the ability of the hand to post, Adam can complete the sweep by either pulling the opponent forwards, or by pushing the opponent's hand in between their legs. As it happens, one of Adam's tricks is to frustrate opponents by controlling the sleeve. As soon as the opponent tries to control Adam's hand, he can force them into his sweep the moment the posting hand comes off the floor. Adam also has the opportunity to change his upper body grips depending on his opponent's reactions. By letting go of the sleeve and taking a straight lapel grip, Adam can shift his cross-collar hand to the belt. He can also swap to double sleeves. Despite being called the lazy butterfly, Adam is relatively active in the position. If an opponent ever steps their leg up, Adam is ready to move. If the opponent naively lifts the inside leg with not much weight, Adam can just sweep through it. Regardless of whether the opponent steps up the inside leg or the outside leg, this is typically Adam's cue to exit the lazy butterfly and move to single leg X. Now that we've covered the lazy butterfly, this is our cue to move on to the last of Adam's butterflies. The third of Adam's butterflies is butterfly half. True to form, this is not a traditional butterfly half guard. From Adam's instructionals, he refers to butterfly half whenever he has one leg in, grapevining the opponent's calf. This looks very similar to the lazy butterfly, but instead of Adam's left foot being planted on the floor, he kind of just floats it, often alternating between standing on the opponent's thigh and fishing under the opponent's knee. Adam will use this version of half butterfly when the opponent is being aggressive with their lead leg and threatens to smash through his preferred lazy butterfly position. We'll cover this in a bit more detail when discussing Adam's strategies for dealing with opponents when they have one knee up and one knee down. We commented earlier that Adam's entire butterfly game is based around hitting his preferred butterfly sweep, the sumigaeshi. The function of Adam's butterfly half guard is based around the interplay between two sweeps. The butterfly half offers sumigaeshis to one side and John Wayne sweeps to the other. The John Wayne sweep, sometimes referred to as the knee lever, is available whenever the opponent has a knee on the floor. By committing the opponent's weight forwards and blocking the knee from the outside, it doesn't take much for a quick turn to send the opponent over. Anyone who has fooled around with the John Wayne sweep will know it's one of the most satisfying sweeps to hit on an opponent. Not only does it score points for satisfaction, it ranks high in practicality. The sweep is reasonably low risk, and if it succeeds, it puts us in a superb passing position. Not only that, the interplay between the knee lever and the sumigaeshi is exceptional. Just like the lazy butterfly, the power of Adam's butterfly half is the options that it provides. Aggressive opponents can be kept away of the knee shield, and passive opponents can be punished by being elevated. This strategy isn't exclusive to Adam Wardzinski either. Gordon Ryan has a similar style of butterfly half to deal with kneeling opponents. Now that we've covered the three types of butterfly, when the opponent has two knees on the floor, it's time to see what Adam's strategy is for dealing with opponents who adopt a one knee up and one knee down posture. Opponents who are wise to the threat of Adam's hook sweep will seek to get off two knees as soon as possible. One of the solutions they may utilise is by coming up onto one foot and trying to adopt a split squat style position. Considering Adam is a butterfly specialist, I always thought it was strange that people would have two knees on the floor, knowing it fed right into his game. As it turns out, Adam is very good at making you put your knees on the floor. For opponents posting a foot in the middle, Adam already has an answer to this. We touched earlier on what would happen if the opponent tried to stand up to a knee in Adam's lazy butterfly guard. This deals with when an opponent goes from kneeling to one knee up and one knee down. But what happens if the opponent was never kneeling? Typically, the opponent will be trying to force a knee in between and try to split Adam's legs. Rather than just posting, they'll be aggressively trying to get their knee to the floor in order to pass. In this situation, the first thing Adam will do is use his inside foot as a reverse de la Riva hook. The reverse De La Riva hook won't stop a talented knee cutter, but it will certainly slow them down. Knowing this, Adam will seek to back up his reverse De La Riva hook with a shin-to-shin connection. The beauty of Adam keeping his post foot on the floor is super useful as a means of distance management and tactics. If he has space, he can simply pommel his foot into a shin-to-shin position. If he doesn't have space, then the foot on the floor allows him to shrimp backwards and pommel his foot in. If the opponent is committed to the knee cut, then their inside foot is planted to the floor. By shrimping backwards, the opponent cannot follow, as they would need to raise their inside foot to do so. From a tactical standpoint, it also prevents Adam from being tempted to put his foot on his opponent's body, as is common with typical reverse De La Rivas. This not only prevents his opponent from attacking his foot, but it allows him to come straight back on offense. The combination of reverse De La Riva and shin to shin gives Adam tremendous control over the opponent's leg, and it allows him to put the opponent's knee on the floor at will. By simply stretching his legs, opponents have to put a knee down, otherwise they just fall over. As soon as the knee touches the floor, Adam is immediately ready to sweep. What's slightly scary is that even if Adam can't put the opponent's knee on the floor, their weight will be distributed in a way where Adam can simply try his hook sweep anyway. Instead of using his elevator hook to hook onto the inside of the opponent's thigh, he'll just elevate straight through the shin. At this point in his career, Adam will have been dealing with knee cut passers trying to smash through his butterfly guard for a long time, so this will be something he is very used to. Rather than try to go through Adam's guard, opponents are far more likely to enjoy success by moving around it. To do this, they will need to be stood up on 2 feet in order to be mobile. Let's take a look at what Adam does to deal with standing opponents next. Getting a true standing opponent with no connections is a little uncommon, but not unusual. Ideally, Adam would like to pull guard right into one of his butterflies, or at least bring an opponent down to one knee, which we'll talk about in the next section. For now, we're going to focus on what happens if the opponent stands up when they're already in butterfly guard, or if after a reset they're able to approach without any connections. An opponent approaching our seated guard when we have no grips can be a pretty terrifying prospect. Fortunately, after watching and stealing moves from Adam, this is something I'm now far more comfortable with. We've already touched on the premier strategy earlier in this video, and that's to target the near side sleeve. This is only something we can do when the opponent is square with us. If the opponent is trying to step a foot in the middle, this is Adam's indicator to go straight into shin to shin and begin fighting grips from there. If in shin to shin, Adam will still target the sleeve cuff and look for variations of his tripod sweep. By dumping all his weight into the opponent's shin to shin leg, this will leave the other leg tremendously light and vulnerable to being swept from underneath them. Anytime Adam meets resistance in the sweep, he can always kick through and fall to single leg X. If the opponent stays square and Adam gets the sleeve, then he'll aggressively push the opponent's hand towards their opposite hip. This act bullies his opponent into making missteps backwards, which can set up the dummy sweep, enter shin to shin, or allow Adam to grab a collar and pull his opponent on top of him. It doesn't have to be pretty, it just has to be enough to get the opponent off balance. Opponents who are stuck in Adam's butterfly guard would be unwise to stand up directly over him, as this gives him direct and easy entries into single leg X. Even if opponents don't stand up, Adam still can create space to enter the legs off of failed knee levers and Sumagashi attempts. Rather than an Ashigarami style single leg X, Adam really does try to play an X guard on one of his opponent's legs. The short hook gives him incredible sweeping opportunities in multiple directions. One detail which I have found to be an absolute game changer is that Adam will take his opponent's primary leg and keep the foot on his bicep. He doesn't use a traditional scoop grip or an Achilles grip, instead he'll just hug under the heel to stop the opponent putting their foot on the floor. This alone is a superb tactic, preventing opponents from using their foot for base. Depending on where the opponent's weight is, Adam has the option of bringing his opponents forward via an overhead sweep, backwards via variations of scissor sweeps, with the classic Ashigarami sweep as a backup if necessary. If all else fails, Adam will just stand up with his opponent, and in absolute extreme examples, Adam will just carry on utilising a belt grip and his usual butterfly hooks. While Adam does occasionally use X-guard and other inside positions, it does appear that he favours the single leg X. The single leg X has great utility. In fact, if Adam is passing guard and he has trouble breaking his opponent's grips, he'll fall backwards to single leg X to utilise his legs as part of the grip break. Opponents will be cautious about standing up, knowing they're about to stand up into one of Adam's preferred sweeping positions. Knowing how Adam likes to cook his opponents, smart players will be keen to avoid scenarios where Adam is able to get grips and drag his opponent into his game, doing their best to avoid his butterfly hook connections. We've covered Adam's strategies for the scenarios he may face with his butterfly guard. Now let's have a look at how he gets around some of the problems that he'll run into. When troubleshooting butterfly guard, the first issue is not typically the reactions our opponent gives to our attacks, it's forcing the opponent to engage in our butterfly guard to begin with. When you have such a strong guard to sweep from, this creates a dilemma for our opponents. The longer they stay standing, the more likely Adam is going to end up pulling guard. To counter this, opponents will often try to pull guard before Adam gets a chance to. They may think this is a clever tactic, but sadly they aren't safe. Not only is Adam one of the best pressure passers in the game, he'll even accept sweeps if that puts him in a more advantageous position for him to sweep back right away. This often lets him end up in more powerful passing positions. While some commentators may disagree with Adam's tactics to accept sweeps and give away points, Adam shows supreme confidence in his game, knowing that any points deficit can be quickly taken back. The ultimate example of this is Adam's 2023 Pan Championships finals match with Felipe Andrew. With under 2 minutes to go, Adam was down 9-2. He accepted a takedown that landed him in butterfly guard, moving Felipe Andrew further ahead 11 points to 2. Things were not looking good for Adam. However, a quick sweep, guard pass and sub attempt in the last 90 seconds managed to not only level the score, but to put him ahead on advantage. Of course, allowing yourself to get swept and taken down might not always be the best strategy. Pulling an opponent into butterfly guard directly is pretty difficult, so when pulling guard, Adam's main focus is not where he ends up, but getting the opponent moving forwards. Adam's main gambit is to pull to either half guard or reverse de la Riva. From here, he can look to add his shin to shin hook and establish his collar and sleeve grips. Once in place, he can typically start to look to float between his A game of lazy butterfly and half butterfly. He'll typically initiate this guard pull by having some form of straight lapel grip and some form of sleeve grip, preferably at the tricep. The grip on the opponent's arm is crucial, as this will be the detail by which the guard pull lives or dies. A free arm would allow an opponent to step around the pull and begin working a pass immediately. If the opponent is square, Adam will typically post his leg straight on the hip. This will be the same side as the trapped arm. If Adam can get the opponent moving forwards, he'll swing his inside foot across and drag the opponent down to the floor. So if Adam has trapped the opponent's right arm, he'll swing his right foot across as the hook. For cagey opponents who won't allow Adam to get a solid grip, he has an alternative strategy of dropping straight to the floor as soon as he makes contact. As soon as Adam hits the floor, he's going straight into his strategies for standing, one knee up, one knee down, or kneeling that we discussed earlier. If the opponent also drops to their guard, then Adam is more than happy to hoist to top position, steal an advantage, and begin passing. If trying to get people to engage with the butterfly guard is the first issue that Adam will face, the second issue will be opponents who are strong passers and will actively look to counter his butterfly game. We'll look at some guard retention tricks that Adam likes to employ next. One of the main downsides of butterfly guard, compared to other guards, is that you're giving up an initial layer of guard retention in exchange for better sweeping opportunities. There is a wave of athletes that will avoid playing butterfly to allow themselves to use their feet and legs to keep the opponent further away. The utility of guards like de la Riva and variations of collar and sleeve is that the use of our feet can be used as a full barrier between us and our opponent. While laying out my initial reasons for studying Adam Wardzinski, I made the comment, I feel that the opponent gets a grip and suddenly my guard retention doesn't exist. After playing around with Adam's techniques, I feel that there is a small trace of this thought that permeates through Adam's strategies. Adam places a strong emphasis on grip fighting, not only to set up his attacks, but as a means of early defense. As I've been trying to implement what I've learned from Adam into my game, my guard retention has improved. Not through any miracles of technique, but through having smaller gaps in my attacks that my opponent can take advantage of. It's a very fine line between offense and defense with respect to guard offense and guard retention, but it's a line Adam treads wonderfully. Not only does Adam have supreme confidence in his offense, he is very capable defensively too. The foundation of Adam's defense is a confidence in being able to escape many bad positions and knowing that even if down on points, he can turn a match around in an instant. A perfect example of this is Adam's recent 2025 PANS Finals match against Roberto Jimenez. Despite having a high energy Roberto spamming pass attempts and nearly taking Adam's back within the first minutes of the match, Adam pulled a veteran move of conserving his energy, weathering the storm, and as soon as the opportunity presented itself, a quick knee lever to off-balance Roberto and get back on top. Adam would take a points lead for the sweep, and Roberto would not be able to recover the score. With a strong foundation of defense and prioritizing grip fighting, Adam has a couple of other layers to his guard retention game. The first is more conceptual, and that is knee positioning. When Adam takes his initial butterfly postures, he's almost exclusively on his side. Once his grips are established, his main defensive priority is protecting the space in between his knees. If his knees come too close together, then his opponent will have opportunities to enter smash passes and force half guard more readily. As a result, Adam has to be responsible and make sure his top knee is always pointed to the outside. In the rare event that Adam gets his knees smashed together, his legs will scissor and extend. The top leg will come further forwards to hook his opponent's near leg and prevent a backstep. At the same time, his bottom leg will move backwards and create an outside hook on the opponent's thigh. By bringing his legs back together in an X, he'll extend the opponent backwards before returning to lazy butterfly. The second layer is having preloaded responses should he fail in the grip fight. We touched earlier on how if an opponent grabs Adam's sleeve or inside pant, then he'll just proceed to ignore this and sweep them anyway. However, Adam has specific responses should the opponent grab a straight grip on his collar, secure an inside hip post, or manage to underhook his leg and take a cross pant grip. For straight collar grips, Adam will immediately abandon his own cross collar and use a 2-on-1 to break this grip. It is of high importance that we do not allow our head to be controlled. Depending on the opponent's reaction and posture, Adam will either try to scoop under his opponent, force the arm across, or simply return to collar and sleeve control. If the opponent secures a hip post, rather than try to lasso, Adam will use his knee and shin to drive into his opponent's forearm before reinserting his butterfly hook. If the opponent tries to underhook his leg and take a cross pant grip, Adam will free his knee by circling his leg around his opponent's head before rocking up to a seated position and grabbing his opponent's belt. We've now come to an end of our Adam Wardzinski study. After reflecting on our study parameters at the beginning of the video, we've addressed the 3 main scenarios that we'll face when playing butterfly guard, and have looked at some of the common problems that we'll encounter. Studying Adam has been incredibly rewarding. Not only have I been able to add a lot more to my game, but it's been a great source of inspiration seeing Adam in action. While his opponents try new tactics and guards, Adam very much has stayed the same. For years, Adam has competed at the highest level, facing the best of the best. During this time, Adam experienced defeat and had the bitter taste of failure all too many times. Over time, he stayed true to himself, and the medals began to trickle through. A lesson in perseverance if there ever was one. Rather than reinvent himself and copy his contemporaries, Adam focused on rediscovering his own way. Sometimes we don't need new moves, just different ways of getting to our old favourites. Adam truly is a master of butterfly strategies, and this is highlighted by the fact that he can go side to side, having a very ambidextrous game. A true example of it being better to excel and be great at one thing rather than be mediocre at a few. After studying Adam, hopefully the butterfly guard is somewhere we can all begin to excel as well. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing. To support the channel, please know that watching my videos is enough, but if you feel the need to contribute, you can become a member or leave a donation on each video. Alternatively, you can use my discount codes if you want to score some sweet merchandise. If you don't want to spend any money and just want to say hey, feel free to reach out to me on my socials. Cheers.